Hi, I'm Matthew Bazinet, and this is Urban Fae. Urban Fae will be a character-based stealth action game. So, who am I? Well, I am Matthew Bazinet, as I said, but I'm also an urban fantasy author. I've written a novella and some short stories. I'm a game programmer. I'm actually a student game programmer right now at college. So, Urban Fae. It is planned to be a video game and a novel series. Currently, it's one in-progress novel, Wild Hunted. I do plan on making the game, but right now I have a lot of assignments for school, and this is all I can do at the moment for it. I will work on it when I have time, though. And everything in this is subject to change. I may decide that I don't want to do this at all. These are my ideas right here, right now. So, Wild Hunted, the first book I mentioned, I'm just going to give a brief overview. So, Corbin Darby, a half-fae former thief, is framed for stealing an important artifact. Aoife Clancy, a wild hunter, tracks him down. Corbin must prove his innocence by stealing the artifact back. So, the Fae in myth. What are they? Well, they're a broad group of tricksters and all that. So you may only know of them from the cute sprites or pixies that get animated from time to time, but yeah, they are really this tricksterous group of creatures, and often outright harmful. Like, one example is the Kelpie, the Kelpie are water horses, and they convince children to get onto their backs. They will lengthen their back until they get all the children around them, and then they'll run into the water, with the children on their backs unable to get off. Fae are not necessarily nice creatures by any stretch of the imagination. That said, some were benevolent, like some pukas actually were considered to be quite benevolent, a similar creature in some ways to the Kelpie. So, origins of the Fae, there's a lot of possibilities. Some say that they were descended from the Tuatha, which are the gods of Ireland. Lu might be one that you know. Lu is related to Cuchulainn, if that's someone you know. He's descended from the Fomorians and the Tuatha, I believe. Other possible origins suggest they're fallen angels that only fell halfway. The ghosts of dead ancestors is another common suggestion that mixes in with the concept of the Slough, which is part of fairy lore of the restless undead. Not undead, rather, but spirits. A more modern concept is that they're aliens and changelings. Stories of children who were taken and replaced are the old school alien abduction story. Right. So, I don't actually write exactly from the myths because they're so contradictory and all that. I take them as inspiration and work with them. So, in Urban Fae, the Fae are an intelligent species from another reality, which is a distorted version of our own. That is called the Otherworld. You'll hear me mention that a lot as we go through this series of videos. Time in the Otherworld is faster. Many animals there have evolved into their own people. These are the Fae. They have magic as their very blood and cannot lie. They burn at the slightest touch of iron. They cross over to our world and use glamours and contracts to trick us mortals. So, traditionally, the fairy courts have been... there's only two of them. So, the Seelie Court, which is the nice summer court of Fae, are commonly held to be good. They're not, actually. They're maybe not as likely to kill you as an Unseelie, but they are still very much mischievous tricksters. And you're still going to end up behind if you make any deals with them. So they're often held to be led by Titania and Oberon, which you see in Midsummer Night's Dream. So the Unseelie Court, very different. The Cool Court, which are the Winter Fae, and commonly held to be led by Mav, who is... she has her name pronounced a myriad of different ways, and she's actually mentioned as a fairy queen. I believe the first time is in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, when they refer to Queen Mav. Shakespeare ends up coming up a lot in fairy things. There's a lot to do with Shakespeare, especially because of A Midsummer Night's Dream, which fleshed out some of the lore. So, what did I do at the courts? So, after overthrowing the Tuatha, the Fae split into 5 main courts. These are Spring, led by Puck, who focus on creating life. Summer, ruled by Titania, which focuses on happiness at everything else's expense. Fall, ruled by the Ever-Changing, a character of my own creation, who wants modernization and mingling with mortals. Puck, incidentally, also from A Midsummer Night's Dream, although he existed before that. And Winter, the Court of Mav, awaits enemies of the Fae with cold blades. So they focused on being an army. Now, last we have the Wild Hunt, led by Hearn. They focus on keeping everything accountable, and in the more day-to-day thing, they specifically focus on being a police force for the Fae. So, inspirations for the game. So one of the main things, the stealth action part, comes from a combination of Dishonored and Metal Gear Solid. I like the combat stealth approach that both of these games take. They're very different. Dishonored taking more of the melee side, although there are guns and crossbows and magic powers. And Metal Gear Solid taking more of the gunplay side, although there's a whole lot of other things, especially in my personal favorite in the game, in the series rather, 5, Phantom Pain, with the almost magic prosthetic arms that the main character has. Immersive sim is something I want to take in that. Some people might not differentiate between a stealth action game and an immersive sim, and really that's not... it's fair. Immersive sims are about embodying a character, but, well, Deus Ex was very much a stealth action game that, you can see some inspiration taken by later Metal Gear Solid games, and Dishonored is very much a spiritual successor to Thief. So they are very much that, but the immersive sim is about what the character is. For example, in Thief, combat is very distinctly not encouraged. So, going on with that, I wanted this to be character focused, so what I'm actually going to be doing is talking about all the different characters. So, gacha games really are what inspired this. Genshin Impact caused me to go back to one of my favorites, Honkai Impact, by the same developer, and play that a fair bit. I love the way that game works. And also Warframe, which Warframe is something I've played a fair bit of. It's my most played game on Steam, though not my favorite, just one of those things that you play games with friends and you rack up a lot of hours. So they have a whole bunch of different characters that you can play as, which have very different roles and ability sets. So that's something I want to take, including the character variations that you see in something like Honkai Impact 3rd. Although Mortal Kombat also has this kind of thing in 10 and 11, where you have not just one, like the characters, they have this one set of abilities and that's it. In these games, you can have different versions of a character. So you have one version of the character focused on gunplay, one focused on melee combat. So different things like that. I want to do stuff like that. Now, gameplay, I mentioned that the plan is to be a stealth action, and I want to do that in third person. And the idea is you'll have 1 to 4 characters in a party and be able to swap between them. So it's not, 4 characters at once, it's 4 characters that you can choose from, kind of like a weapon select in most games. Game structure. So this one, just, again, this can change. I'm not so certain of what I'm doing here, but I want to do some procedurally generated missions like you see in Warframe, with a couple of different types, like heists and capture target, probably some other ones as I think of them when I'm actually implementing this stuff. I'm focusing more on the characters for now, but this is the kind of general mission structure I'm looking at. Boss battles as well would be very fun, but I don't know if that's something I can do. But we'll work on it. And I also want to do handcrafted scenarios where you have specific characters and you complete a level, a more standard level thing, rather than the mission with just an objective. More a level to get through for these scenario missions. What are the characters going to have? I mean, more than this in the sense of abilities. So they will have a passive, an ability on left click, an ability on right click, a Q, an E, and an R. So in console speak, you get your ability on the right trigger, on the left trigger, on the left bumper, on the right bumper. And the ultimate ability I see as being on triangle, although it could be something else. And I provide, translations between Xbox and PlayStation there. Right, so breaking all these down, it's going to be a passive, which is a mechanic unique to the character. You'll understand it as I get through some of the characters later on. It'll be in different videos from this one. So a left click, which will be a basic attack, and a right click that'll be a more niche yet still very much core attack. Q should be an ability of medium cooldown. E will be a very short cooldown ability, and R, a powerful ability with a long cooldown, so an ultimate. So, what am I going to be doing on this channel? As I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to detail characters. That's what this is going to be. It's all going to be about characters until I move on to actually making the game. So, I'll talk about some of the myths and world building that are behind the character, some of their personality, a story about them, and finally their ability set. So what else am I going to do on this channel? I'm gonna do some other videos occasionally. So other stories, if I got a story that I just want to read, it might not even be tied into the same universe. I've got a collection of flash fiction stories on my website, which you can read. I'll have a link in the description if I know how to do that. So game development updates once I'm actually working on it. School projects that I'm proud of or that my professors need a video of will go up here. Some of those will be public if I actually like them. And honestly, if there's something that I feel passionate about doing, I'm going to do a video of it. If there's a game that I really want to talk about why it's excellent and I just love it, I'll talk about that. Same with a book. So that might occasionally happen. Probably not a common thing, but you know, it might happen. So this is the part where, you know, the whole YouTuber shill thing, you know, like, dislike, tell me what you think, subscribe, and there's my Twitter. I'll have a link in the description for that. So if you have ideas on what I should actually be doing on this channel, let me know in the comments. Any iterative ideas, go ahead and talk about them in the comments. Anything that you think I should do, talk about that. And there will be another video going up right at the same time as this one to make sure that you understand what I'm doing and I'm not just telling you what I'm doing and then not doing it. There will be another video coming out right away. Now, schedule wise for the videos, I don't really know what my schedule is going to be. I'd originally thought bi-weekly, but these turn out to be a lot of work, especially since I am not an artist and there's a little bit of art in these. So I'm working on being an artist, I'm not yet. Anyways, do all the things that the screen tells you to do if you want to. I'm not going to force you. And just give you a brief preview. The next video will be about Corbin Darby, the half-puka trickster.